Hi everyone, it's me Mr. Static. My name is not Peter, and it's time for your favorite show, watching random people without their consent.
Yeah!
Today we have a triple threat for you. First, we're starting off with the sibling duology. What's the sibling duology, you ask? Kaiser, the host of the not-so-famous I'm a Fan of podcast, will be joined by, according to them, his most popular guests, his sisters Kenedi and Karington.
What's going on back there? Why is the audience booing?
Oops. Sorry, Director Boss, sir. I changed the sign to the boo those fleshbag idiots option by mistake. Won't happen again.
You betta. One more mistake, and that's your job, you little outdated piece of AI trash.
Sigh.
That's right, folks. And after that, a new episode of America's favorite new teen drama, High School High, is premiering. What will those fleshbag teenagers be up to now? All this and more after the break.
And cut. Good job out there, Mr. Static. Good job. You're a star, I'm telling you. You want some water? I'll get you some water.
Thank you, but there'll be no need.
They heard the AI, you degenerates. Get him some water.
Ew. So much going on.
You.
Eep.
Why aren't you clamoring in desperation like all of the other AI workers? You think you're too good or something?
No, Director Boss, sir. I was just a bit confused, sir.
Confused. Let me let you in on a little secret, girlie. Everyone here is confused, but you know what you do when you're confused. You don't, do ya? You work, that's what you do. Now get those little AI feet moving and get Mr. Static some water.
Yes, sir.
Now.
And we're back. Starting in 3, 2, 1. Action.
Welcome back, everyone, to Watching People Without Their Consent. We're about to get started by showing you some ridiculous bloopers from Kaiser's many
Good.
failed outtakes.
Now where's that lousy
So let's
worker
get
with the
started.
water? Tell her there's no need to get any.
Yes, sir.
Water.
Now the moment you've all been waiting for.
Water.
What the heck is she doing out there?
Here's your water, Mr. Static. Just like you ordered.
Oh, why thank you.
HHH. Wait till I get my hands on her. I'm gonna.
Direct your boss, sir. We're still airing.
I oughta. You, get along with it. Make sure she doesn't mess up the broadcast.
Yes, sir.
Well, what's your name, sweetheart?
Me? Oh, I'm Sam. I work at the AI Broadcasting Agency. Oh, look, that's my boss. Director Boss, sir. Hi, Director Boss, sir.
Hi. Keep the cameras towards them, you imbecile.
Well, Sam, I never usually have guests, but when I do, I like for them to introduce the upcoming program. Would you like to do the honors?
Oh boy, would I.
Gia-ra-ra-ra-ra-ra.
The I'm a Fan of podcast starring our favorite human fleshbag and his just as fleshy older sister is starting now.
Hi, welcome to the I'm a Fan of podcast, where people come together to share why they love what they love.
And sometimes hate what they hate.
I'm your host, Kaiser Brown, and I'm a fan of evil teachers that torture their annoying students on television.
And I'm Kenedi, and I'm a fan of Abbott Elementary.
All right, sister, are you ready to talk about it?
Yes.
All right, here we go. Welcome back again.
Thank you everyone for having me.
All right, so you're here to talk about Abbott Elementary.
Yes.
What got you into this show?
There's multiple reasons. The first reason was a lot of people talking about it. And then secondly, because I watch a lot of The Office, and then they kind of coincide. That's where I got it from.
Okay, so with The Office, that's like basically a work comedy, right?
It was a work comedy. They really worked in the office. They work in Dunder Mifflin, their paper company. And it's just like a lot of funny stuff that goes on.
So what specifically about The Office really compelled you? Is it that it's based off of reality television and how they use the cameras? Is it because the characters are kooky?
I think the characters mostly, like, they just ding baddie. Or you have Steve Carell, he's the boss or whatever. He don't have an idea about how to do anything. Also, I guess the reality TV part, when they get to go in and have their own secluded little moments.
The
To
confessionals.
talk about, confessionals, to talk about everything that's going on in the office or their feelings and things, or the camera will sneak up behind them when they doing something suspicious and they don't ever know. So you get to see all the scandal and the secrets and all of that stuff going on.
Okay, so before we actually get into the show, let's talk about the cast.
Okay.
So we have Quinta Brunson, Playing Janine T. Tyler James Williams plays Gregory Eddy. Janelle James plays Ava Coleman. Lisa Ann Walter plays Melissa Scamini. Chris Perfetti plays Jacob Hill. Cheryl Lee Ralph plays Barbara Howard. And William Stanford Davis plays Mr. Johnson. Those are the main characters. You have other people come in, guests. Why do you think Abbott Elementary became such a big phenomenon, especially in the age where we focus more on streaming service shows? Why do you think this show, that's a cable show, is so popular as it is?
This cable show is able to be streamed on Hulu too. So if you have people that are just on certain streaming services as Hulu, you'll be able to watch it. But also, it's just funny that you have a cast, a wide variety of people who played in different things. Like Katina Bronson, for instance, she's
Technical difficulties, people, because it always has to happen when I film this podcast. All right, so what were we talking about?
like I was saying, the cast, you have a variety of people. Like Katina Bronson, she started off as a social media person, like little clips and snippets, like different videos. For instance, the one she had where she'd be like she was going on a first date with a guy. He would buy her popcorn and all kind of stuff, and how romantic that was. And just to see her success. So I think pretty much because people want to see other people grow, this show has become a success. And also because it talks about real life issues going on within school systems, public school systems. And then it talks about the things as far as charter school systems. And being a teacher myself, I can relate to the stuff they talk about and understand because we see it every day working in a public school that is for Blacks as well. It's exciting. And then, like I said, it's funny. It brings a comedic effect. And I often joke about how the fact that I see myself in every one of those characters, except for Ava. I don't see myself in Ava.
I think you have a
But
little bit of Ava in you. I think you got a little bit.
we
Everybody has a
talked
little bit
about
of
that
Ava
the
in
last
them.
time. Yeah, we talked about that the
Yeah.
last time. But I don't know.
So, what character in Abbott Elementary do you relate to the most?
Janine.
Janine. How
Yeah.
so?
Because I'm always the one at work, I'm trying to fix the problems, or even not at work, just in life. I try to fix the problems. Even if I don't need to fix it, I just take it upon myself to try to do something that necessarily I don't have to do.
So, do you look at that as a positive trait? Because I see in Abbott Elementary, it is a positive trait for Janine, but sometimes she takes it too far and just doesn't know when to stop. Do you have that problem?
Yes. I don't think it's overly as dramatic as Janine. I'm not gonna cause the toilets to stop working by changing juices in a school. But most of the time it's for me, probably if my coworkers or my students are having an issue, I try my hardest to figure it out. And sometimes it's not necessarily a negative effect. It opens the door for something else that I have to deal with. And it's just like a never ending cycle. So that gets tiring, if it makes sense.
So, would you say that lessons that you've seen in Abbott Elementary are lessons that you might have learned in real life?
Yes, most definitely. Like the episode with Melissa Shamenti this past season, she had to teach second and third grade. She ended up having so much work and it was a lot on her, but she didn't want to ask for help. I have that issue. I don't like asking for help. And then eventually it gets to be too much. And then you have a breakdown. And it's like, okay, I do need help, but it's just hard to ask for help. So that type of stuff, because you have so many children looking up to you. Not that you'll be able to tell them, oh, it's okay to ask for help, but you trying to be Wonder Woman. It don't always happen. Sometimes you have to live by what you say. It can't be that do as I say and not as I do type thing. And I learned that from that show too.
So, Abbott Elementary as a show really does focus on issues that are serious, but in a very comedic way. What do you think is the most relatable aspect within the school system at the place you work at in Abbott Elementary? What are the things that you can compare and what are the things that you can contrast?
Comparing wise, I would say like just the learning environment for the kids. Abbott Elementary is elementary school. I teach at a high school, but it's just the things about public schools, the environment. Every school is not taken care of as well as it should be. So you do have issues like on the episode where she was getting on the ladder to fix the light bulb and it caused all the electricity to go out. A lot of times in schools you don't have the funds to have the school up to par in every aspect. You want it to be, but sometimes it's not always that easy. So I can relate to that. Contrasting a bit, I really don't honestly have a contrast. Different states. That's a totally different state. That's Philadelphia, and we live in Louisiana. So it's just kind of like, I don't know. I guess it'd have to be different, like as far as culture wise, like doing things. But other than that, just school in general, it's the education part. Sometimes you have the best teachers, but sometimes the building isn't what it needs to be, and you do the best that you can with the material that you have. Like the season, the charter school books got delivered to Abbott Elementary. And it was like, oh, they get new books. A lot of times in public schools, you have older things. You don't have the funds to necessarily get newer books because you might be taking care of something else. Or you might have the funds only to get newer books for a certain subject and cannot get it for another subject. You have to wait like a period of time for it.
Yeah, it's true. And I think the concept of Abbott Elementary really does ring true to that because it's a show like The Office, but they're bringing in a camera crew in order to show this underfunded school in order for them to get more money. Just recently, well, this morning, I was trying to catch up on the show as much as I could. I'm on season 2, and it's an episode about them trying to sell candy so they can get more funds to help with the school. And they always find funny ways to do it because Ava is always like coming up with these weird schemes.
Ava does what Ava does.
She's always
But
charging these
Ava
people.
not gets away with it, but it's always a way to get it done. It's like a lot of them don't want to go to Ava because the way she does things is not normal. It's out of the ordinary, but she does get it done. And she's not your average principal. So it's funny. It's funny to see that.
I'd say she isn't your average principal, but I'll also say they take qualities of some principals within these public school systems and just give them all to Ava and then turns them to 100. They do take those qualities. What the show does a good job of is, although giving a character like Ava those negative qualities, they still humanize her and show that she is a human being with positive qualities as well.
Yeah,
in
and
ways
she
that
has
actually help the
feelings
school.
because of the fact I think her grandmother is sick or something, and nobody understood that. Like when she was leaving work, they thought she was going to do her own thing, but she actually was going to take care of her grandmother, because she's ill. So yeah, I totally understand all of that.
Some things about Ava don't make no sense though. Because first
Honestly.
of all, like she's taking care of her grandmother, right? And she's
Mhm.
the only one that can do it. But then she into Gregory, right? She always flirting with him. On one episode, she flirting with his daddy. But then you find out a few episodes before she's dating an NBA player.
Yes.
And so I'm just like, where is your life? Like, where is this all going? And then she's successful in some areas, like on social media.
Yeah, she has a large social media following.
And I'm like, what are you?
She can get you help with everything, like the episode where she helped Barbara get stuff for her classroom, but she was just basically she's trying to help Barbara, but she was degrading Barbara at the same time because she was
Yeah.
like the oldest teacher in the school. And it was like, what?
She also has a problem with Janine. She does some underhanded stuff. How she got the principal position in
Because they told, the way she got it was she blackmailed the deacon, which is the superintendent.
Yeah.
And he was dating somebody in the church or sleeping with somebody, but it backfired on her because he ended up marrying her. He didn't know he married her. And then they were in a school board meeting that she was sucking real bad because the superintendent wanted her to fail at it.
But there's also the same episode where they start to humanize her too.
Mm-hmm.
And shows that she actually really does care about the kids and the school with the speech that she does give. It's been a while since I've seen that episode because I watched that episode when it came out, like the week it came out. But that's just showing the depth of these characters. Outside of Ava, you have the main character, you have Janine. We're going to do this episode a little bit differently. We're not going episode by episode because I feel like for a show like Abbott Elementary,
You don't need to break it down. It's too much that happens.
yeah, it's an episodic show. It has small things here and there that connect to other episodes, but as a show in general, it's very episodic and it's just basically the day-to-day life of teaching, right? There's no need for all those overarching storylines and characters and things. We're not trying to get from point A to point Z. We're at point A and we're just continuing from there. So let's break down some of these characters. So we have Janine. She's according to Wikipedia, an optimistic second grade teacher who has a mission to help the lives of her students while also managing her own personal life. Janine, as a character, I feel like if I knew her in real life, I don't know if I would be friends with Janine.
Why?
She is so sweet, but sometimes she tries to do too much. Like she's always overreaching and overdoing. And she doesn't do it in subtle ways. And I think the thing about Janine is she always wants to make a change, but she doesn't always think her plans through because she's too busy trying to get things to change.
Yeah.
And
She's looking at the small picture instead of the bigger picture.
And she's right in some ways. Sometimes things need to change, but sometimes she's too busy trying to change things when the people that were there longer than her are telling her,
Leave it be.
Leave it be. It's always worked this way. And she's always like, I'm going to change it. I'm going to change it. Like the juice episode. And then how she went about that. Because she not only did she change the juices, she disrespects Barbara's boundaries when she said, don't use the bathroom in my classroom. And goes and doesn't.
Yeah, but another thing about Janine too, because in that same episode, when she does something and she thinks that it's working out good, she likes to praise herself like in a little jingle, like Janine did it. Go ahead and say if she wants it to be known, like y'all need to praise me because I did it. Give me my props. And Barbara being Barbara's, no, because I already know something's gonna go wrong with this. If it's not today, if it's not tomorrow, it's gonna be like next week because we've been doing things for this way. And I don't think necessarily that Barbara is against change or any of them are against change. But if you think about it, Barbara and Melissa Shamenti, all of them have been there for a while. It's not like they just started. They've been there 20 plus years, so they know the game.
They know how the school system works.
Yeah. When she does that, she gets that little song. So then when it all smacks in her face, she goes into this little bubble like, you were right. And I should have listened. Kind of being like I'm not going to say victim. Victim's not the right word. She's just naive because she really is trying to do something different. Because the reason that she is doing something different, it'll be for something like, oh, I'm just trying to save money or be able to get the kids something different so they can feel special. But at the end of the day, like I said, she's looking at the small picture and not the large one.
That's the thing that makes Janine such an interesting and fun character, I think, is that she looks at the small picture, but she doesn't look at the bigger scope of how things work. And I feel that this is something that she's going to learn eventually, that the people that are working with her and are in her life aren't telling her that her ideas are particularly bad or wrong. Is that you have to learn where you are so that you can make the place a better place, right?
Or just don't make a fast decision. Okay, we use juice. It's not that we can't change the juice, but let's look and see what options we have. Don't just make the option yourself without doing the research. Anything you do in life when you're making something that's a big decision or a big change, you have to do some type of research to figure out what it is, like why this will work, what the outcome will be, testing it out. But she made that big decision. I think it was her and the cafeteria worker or something made that big decision on their own and didn't contemplate thinking about how it would affect the children. You working with elementary children. They already have to go to the bathroom a lot. And so you cutting the sugar and putting more juice, yes, scientifically that's going to make somebody have to go to the bathroom more. But I don't think they thought about that at the time. It was more so like, I'm making a change. It's gonna work, and everybody's gonna be like, Janine, you got a great decision.
Yeah, Janine kind of wants, I don't want to say in a bad way, but she does want the people that she works with, especially the ones that work there for a long amount of time, to acknowledge
Yeah, she want the
the hard work that
gratification.
she
Yeah.
does. And I'm not saying that in a bad way,
No,
because
no.
I think that's actually an interesting point about her character. It's just that sometimes she's too focused on those things to where it backfires on her. But then there are times where those traits actually work for her, right? I can't really think of an example. Do you have an example? OMG. Sorry, Janine. But, like,
I was thinking.
OMG. OMG, should I go through episode? What is it that Janine does? Janine, I love you. I'm sorry.
I think her personality worked for her good at the point, because I'm gonna throw this in there. She has family issues, like mommy and sister issues. So when she had to, I think it was just her and her sister having a talk, and it fixed everything. But when her mom came, I don't know if you made it to the episode
I
yet.
didn't make it to the
Okay,
episode yet.
but when
That's the
her
thing.
mom
This season, Taraji
came
P.
in,
Henson.
Taraji P. Henson was her mom. She came in, and she's pretty much like the parent. I only come when I need something. And she was basically needing money from Janine type of stuff. And Janine was trying to go on a trip for herself because she saved her money and she wanted to go. And her mom came and was like, oh, I got this new job, but my phone bill, I need to pay for it, and I don't have to do it, da 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 da. So Janine was contemplating on whether going back and forth to whether she should give her mom the money or not. Then Barbara came in and basically told the mama, I'll give you the money. I don't want you to mess up Janine's trip. And pretty much at the end, Janine was just like, I'm not gonna do this for you. I'll help you. I'll put you on a payment plan. I'll give you the first few dollars or whatever to pay for this, but I'm not gonna stop. Like, I need to go on my trip for myself. And so I feel like there was a time when she stood up for herself, and the things she normally tries to do to help people, she failed at it. This time she didn't fail at it. She was able to do for herself.
That's Janine's character arc over these past 2 seasons so far, is her making mistakes, learning from them, and then when similar situations come up, she's able to deal with them better. And that's why I was at a loss for a second, thinking like things that Janine did that were actually successful. They were all successful in their own way because she ended up learning lessons. And in a lot of things that she's done, they were able to incorporate it into the school system in ways that maybe were not the way that she hoped, but still ended up benefiting the school and the teaching staff and the custodians in the long run. But just her character arc is her making those mistakes and learning from them and learning how to do better, because I think Janine, especially at the beginning of the show, was going through this development of being a people pleaser.
Yeah, like she was trying to find herself. And I think she took things that didn't go the way she wanted to as a failure, like as a
As
fail.
something that reflected herself.
And I think that more so progressively going through the show, she realized fail was not nothing bad. It was the first attempt in learning, or a first attempt in living, and she understands this is just progressing me further and further on. So she might not make the same mistakes that she made in season 1 and season 2. She knows how to go about them differently and handle the situations different. Like, oh, I shouldn't do that because last time I did this, it was like this. So let me take a different route. Not saying that she doesn't do some kooky stuff.
Yeah, she's a kooky character.
Yeah, but it's just now, it's just, okay, I know the last time this happened, so I'm not going to make that. So it's just like for Janine, I feel like Abbott Elementary is building blocks for her to progress further in life until she is successfully whatever she wants to be in life. This is helping her progress, be able to handle everyday life situations by thinking before you act. You see the bigger picture in the frame besides just seeing the picture.
What makes me think Janine's character specifically is with her relationship with Tariq, her ex-boyfriend, and her people pleasing aspects in that way, because there are a lot of times he does some stuff and it's not like necessarily bad stuff. He's just like this child in this man's body, right?
Yeah, it's more like what's the word, Kaiser, when people like he's using her most of the time.
Yeah, he's using her, but I don't think he thinks he's using her. He's a freeloader. That's what he is. He's a freeloader, and Janine is learning how through the first season. She's learning how to, and in the second season, learn how to stand up for herself, and not to fall for the same old things that she's been going through for the past 10 years.
Because they've been together since high school. Because even the first season, on the way to work, he was rapping and stuff, and she was talking about how good he was. And like she was getting out the car, he took the car, was like, I don't usually wake up until noon 30 or whatever. And he was saying how he was hungry, and all she had was her breakfast sandwich. And she was like, "Oh, you can have it." He was like, "You sure, baby?" Because he knows she's gonna give it to him. And she was like, "Yeah, I'll get some later," knowing that's literally all she had to eat. So he does that, and then even if you like watch the show and you listen to the other stuff, like even after they broke up, I think she was saying, yeah, 'cause it was the episode when what is it called? The person who owns her apartment building was basically
Tenant.
no, she's a tenant.
She's oh,
Yeah, whatever. The guy, he kept emailing her saying that it's her final notice to pay the money. And she was telling Jacob now, oh yeah, the bills was usually split. I would pay 80 and Tariq would pay 20. And I'm like, that's not split. I mean, it's split, but it's not like half and half. He wasn't doing anything.
She let him run over her. And I don't want to go on Tariq's case. He needs to grow up. But also at the same time, he didn't realize he did it too, which is the weird part. And I think that's just a good part for both of those characters' development. It's not the last time we've seen Tariq, because he's coming back.
Like, did he realize it though? Like, I mean, did he not realize it? I think, but I'm saying, I understand that he just a little, but I do think he realizes that though he could get away with using her, like I said, with the sandwich and stuff, feeding her, or using the car, or like the episode, that was the first episode where he was talking about he had a show. And she was like, oh, maybe I could come out. And he was like, oh, no, it's only 50 people could come. And if you come, it'll be 51 and it'll shut the show down. And it was like, that made no sense because that ain't
she would
how
go
it
along
works.
with it.
Yeah, she was like, oh, okay.
But she didn't realize she was doing that. That's the people pleasing aspects part of Janine. She doesn't know how to say no.
Mhm.
She's afraid to say no because of how other people might react. And then I feel that that's a part of her that wants to feel as if she's in control, right? I mean, we all people please before. But if we're afraid to say no to somebody because we're afraid to hurt their feelings, or afraid that what we have to say might cause them to react in a negative way, we have to realize, and I think this is something that Janine realizes, is that you can't control people's reactions. And either way, they're going to react however they're going to react in a certain situation. And that's something that she's really learning. And we're talking about the Jews episode, but also that's what I really liked when Barbara was like, when I said no, I meant no. Don't come in my classroom like that. Janine had to learn that you can't really push and get people to have specific reactions that you want them to have.
Yeah, because people are not going to just move because you want them to move. They're not going to do what you want them to do because that's what you want. Everybody is individualistic. Everybody have their own opinions, their own feelings, their own way of doing things. So she might have thought that Barbara and Melissa were old school. Sometimes old school is the right way. It depends on your situations and the circumstances on how. Like I said, I'm pretty sure that they wouldn't be against modern things being done. Because even with the episode, I don't know if you saw it with the little tablets and stuff, they weren't against it, but they were just like, if we had help knowing how to actually use this stuff, I'm pretty sure it'll be beneficial.
In some aspects, I agree with you, but sometimes the old school are a bit too stuck in their old ways, because in that same episode with Barbara specifically, she could not learn how to use it, but she had too much pride to ask for help. And so when it came to that, she was like, She didn't want the help. And that's the thing about Barbara as a character. I see a lot of Janine and Barbara as well because both of them can be quite stubborn. That's why they're usually on the opposite sides of the fence, but they're also still able to come together at the end of the day because they're both willing to learn from each other, right? At the end of the day, especially between the dynamic of Janine and Barbara, they're always learning something from each other.
And I think that's why they have that work mother-daughter relationship. And then that even showed, like I said, when Janine's mom came, Barbara stepped in against her real mother, like, you're not gonna do. So she had that protective thing over Janine. Janine desires to have that motherly love type of thing with Barbara. So yeah, they got 2-in-1.
Barbara, I feel like she used to be Janine at one point.
Yeah, and
She-
that's why she takes more time with her, I think. Like, she doesn't get as frustrated. I know she gets annoyed with Janine with certain stuff, but she doesn't get as frustrated with her because she's like, okay, well, I was young once and I probably did this. And I believe in the episode, she said that she didn't have a person to guide her back then, so she don't mind doing that for Janine.
So, speaking of Barbara as a character, what are the attributes of her character that really attract you to her?
I feel like Barbara reminds me of Momo Walls.
Yes.
Momo Walls, she's a teacher in the district that I teach in. We went to the school in this district when we were younger. But when I first moved here, she was my 4th grade math teacher. And before that, I could not stand math. Still to this day, I can't stand math, but in her class, it was fun. And then as the years passed, when you made it to 1st grade, she was your 1st grade math teacher. And then when Karington made it to 1st grade, she was the 1st grade math teacher.
Well, she was my 1st grade teacher in general. She was my 1st grade teacher in general. And she was Carrington's 1st grade teacher in general, too.
And like I was saying, she taught a lot of our cousins as well. So she was one of those teachers you don't play with. She loved you unconditionally. Like, still to this day, she say, if I go next door to her at the school and I go see her, she be like, there goes my grandbaby and stuff like that. And she loved you to this day, but she was the type to discipline you. She verbally would tell you. She's not that old. She's like, baby.
I'm talking about you.
Oh, so like verbally, she would tell you right from wrong and get you to think about things. Little things when you're younger, you don't pay attention to, like, oh, I don't have recess anymore because I did something wrong. That didn't happen to me. I always got to go to recess unless I was selling concessions. But she'd be like, think about what you did. And as a child, you'll be like, I don't want to think about what I did. But in the process, you think about what you did because I'm pretty sure you're not going to do it again because you don't want to miss recess. So you're thinking about what you did so you don't have to do it next time. So she was one of those teachers that was stern and strict, but it was out of love. Exactly like Barbara Howard. And she always came dressed to impress, hair nice and neat, clothes ironed, with her purses. And she's just a diva. When I see Barbara Howard, I think about Momo Walls. And it's like really funny because she had to have came across something for her to portray her like that. But
Yeah, the first time I saw Abbott Elementary, as soon as I saw Cheryl Lee Ralph, I was like, oh my gosh, this Momo Walls.
it's because she came on, she was like, I'm Barbara Howard, woman of God.
God. Oh, yes, yes.
I laughed at that part every time. That was the first episode.
One episode they were talking about, I watched it recently, they were all, like the movies they watched in church, and she was like, they watched The Nightmare Before Christmas, only the Christmas part.
Yeah.
They watched, what other movie was that? Man.
I can't remember.
Yeah.
But they were talking about it. And it was something else she said that, oh God, because when you were talking just now, I was thinking about it, but it slipped my mind. It's just certain stuff she said. And it was like, even as far as Barbara, like the lady who was on the school board with the money, the treasurer, how she pretty much blackmailed her and told her she was going to go to the
Yes.
church and tell her she was stealing money and all kind of stuff. And I'm like, oh, Don't play with Barbara.
Barbara Howard gets things done. That's the thing. Because she's been there for so long. She knows what to do. And that's what I really just like enjoy about her character, especially seeing Cheryl Lee Roth play this type of character.
I've always loved Cheryl Lee Roth.
Yeah, when she was on Moesha, she played like a similar type of character, but I feel like actually her character in Abbott Elementary is kind of an evolution of what she was in Moesha, because in Moesha she was a principal and she wasn't this authoritative figure. But in Abbott Elementary, she takes those aspects of her character and makes it a more seasoned version of that. And of course, there are differences, but in a way, you can see those attributes that are in Barbara in the character that she played in Moesha. And like she's just such a fun character.
I love her. Every time I see Barbara, it's fun. Like when she was talking about they went on the cruise and she was like, I had too many apple teenies or something like because she was like she lost her shoe. Or when they went to the teachers' convention and she was so drunk and she couldn't find her shoes. Like they were leaving out the hotel. It's just stuff like that. That's funny because it's like you see Barbara as this assertive person. So when she lets loose and let go, it's all right, Barbara.
And lets loose is like in quotations because she's just. Anyways, let's move on to another character. Let's talk about Gregory.
I love Gregory.
Gregory is something. He is a nerd, but he's also like this very strict. We talk about how Barbara's strict. I feel like she loosens up more than Gregory.
Because Gregory comes from military background. His daddy is, what does he call his daddy? Lieutenant Colonel, sir?
Yeah.
So, military child is living a strict life. He doesn't drink anything but water. He doesn't eat anything. Like he would say he didn't eat pizza. Like the episode he lied about pizza. He didn't even eat pizza.
I was surprised when he said he liked donuts. He said he loved donuts. I was like, wait, what? You love donuts? Because he's very strict on like his eating routine, on things that he does.
Like
he has a strange
every time they bring something, he will not eat it or drink it. It's so funny.
His storyline is him really actually learning to let loose a little bit and not being.
Yeah, but speaking of him right now, because he's in the news outlets, because I think people are trying to call him homosexual. And he was saying that he's not, but his two younger brothers are, I think. And he was basically like, just because a person doesn't come out and live the lifestyle that y'all want them to live doesn't mean that they're homosexual. Yes. Keeping it like my life is my life. I don't have to publicize everything because I'm in the limelight. It doesn't mean I have to show you everything.
It's none of your business.
Right.
And just because a man may be super masculine or a man might be super feminine, it doesn't matter because you can't tell somebody who and what they are attracted to.
And so then he was saying basically, this all ties into the show. I'm just saying it like this though. But if somebody were to come out, you guys are making it hard on them and making them uncomfortable. And so I feel like that relates to Gregory because he says the same thing as far as I am who I am and y'all making fun of me and the way I carry myself doesn't stop me from being me. But if it was to stop me from being me, how do you think that will make me feel?
I think Gregory as a character, though, is a character that is like in the beginning of the show, he's already put in this box, right? And he's learning how to navigate and learning how to do things that he loves. Because his father, a military man, has a gardening service. And there's this episode where he's really proud of Gregory because he learns that he's doing all the planting and stuff.
Secretly, because Gregory is a little secretive in a lot of different ways.
And so he figures it out and he asks him to join his business. But Gregory never really liked doing that with his father. But the first time he ever actually loved gardening was when he was doing it at Abbott Elementary. The first time he actually loved doing a job when he was teaching at Abbott Elementary.
And I think it's because he might feel like the relationship between him and his daddy is not fun. He feel like he can't have the fun. Like gardening is supposed to be fun and enjoyable, but he can't because of the way his dad handles the situation.
He feels like he can't really talk to his father. When he speaks to his father, he's always like, yes, sir, no, sir, this, that, and the other. And he can't really actually have a conversation with him, right? And I think that's just like an attribute of his character that he's learning not to be so strict on himself.
Let your hair down, Gregory. Let your hair down.
Hair down. And his relationship with Janine really reflects that too. I think him harboring that little crush on her and him being around her, not just Janine, but with Jacob, they really kind of bring him out of his shell a little bit, even when he doesn't want to be brought out of his shell. I don't mean like he's shy, but he closes himself off.
Jacob, when it comes to Jacob and Gregory, Jacob pushes a lot, and it makes Gregory uncomfortable because Jacob, he gonna say whatever comes to his mind because he's really a nerd. They call him Mr. C because they call him Mr. Corny. But like, and he thinking like, okay, I could just say whatever and do whatever. Cause he says things that he don't mean no harm with that's not right for him to say at the time. Like when he was like, he went on vacation in Ethiopia. I can't remember what he said. Someone like
Jacob's that white guy who's surrounded by black people
yeah.
and is learning how to navigate that space and fit in.
Yes. And he had a black boyfriend, and his boyfriend be like, didn't I tell you not to say?
That's a funny thing because when his black boyfriend came in, I was like, I'm not surprised because Jacob is that type of character. I feel like we've all grown up with like that one white kid or kid from another racial background when we're in a predominantly black area and seeing how they have to navigate and go through those weird instances of being the minority in a place where they're usually not a minority.
Because it was a surprise to Janine. I don't think it was a surprise to her that he was gay, because I think that was known. I guess it was just a secret thing that was known throughout the show that none of us knew as the audience.
Yeah, it wasn't even a secret. It just
Even I'm just saying, wasn't talking about So, but when she found out who he was, and when she was like, "What?" Like she was surprised, and she's like, "Why didn't you tell me?" Type of thing. But I think him too, he's evolving to knowing what to say, what not to say, what to do, what not to do. I think pretty much what I'm trying to say about every character, I'm pretty sure you agree, is that all of them are learning life lessons and maturing. They're all maturing. So it's like they are having these life lessons that are happening, and it's teaching them something, and it's helping them every like little stair steppers to get them to go to the next level, and they're maturing in those aspects. And that's what when I watch it, that's what I get out of it. Cause you didn't even finish the last episode, but I'm gonna talk about it anyway.
Oh my gosh, yes, spoilers. I don't care.
So from the beginning, the first episode, you see that Gregory and Janine like each other, but they don't talk about it throughout the episode.
So more so Gregory, because Janine's still stuck on Teresa.
Yes. And so throughout the season, you see Janine and Tariq together. Gregory don't like it, but Gregory ends up dating Amber.
That's Barbara's.
No, he dates Barbara's daughter first. And then he ends up dating Amber, which is one of his students' moms.
The student's mom, yeah.
Him and Amber broke up, and he went to the teachers' convention with all the other teachers. But by this time, Janine and Tyreek had broken up because she broke up with Tyreek at the zoo in season 1. Remember? At the last episode, and he was so hurt.
What a place to be broken up with.
Yeah.
At the zoo with all the animals.
Right. So season 2, I think that's when he broke up with Amber, and Janine started dating Gregory's friend Maurice.
How Gregory describes him, he said he's the type of that guy that goes all in. No, there was one scene where he doesn't do LOLs or LMAOs or this, that, and the other. He literally sends the text message and laugh.
He does. And then you got to remember Maurice in the show, like when him and Greg were talking, he was basically saying he wanted a girl, pretty much to be intimate with. That's all he wanted was the intimate, like having sex or whatever. So when he found out that Maurice was talking to Janine, that was in his head like, no, I don't think he a good guy for you. And Janine thought he was being jealous and caused a little thing with them, but then they got over it. But like I said, he was with Amber, and then him and Amber broke up because Amber said he was basically too cheap, couldn't buy her stuff, and like it was just cheap. He bought her a board game instead of, she wanted a Teflon bag or whatever they call it, I don't know. And they broke up. He went to the retreat with them, and Janine and him ended up kissing.
Did
Right?
they?
Yes, in the little arbitrary room with the flowers or whatever. And so they tried to keep it a secret, but Janine and Gregory ended up going to the Ribs restaurant with Maurice. And basically, she broke up with him and told him like they kissed. So fast forward, they still like each other, flirting, but they not telling each other that. Everybody else notices. And then they were going on a night museum. This is the last episode, and it was in Washington. And so they had stuff going on. And the guy Maurice had came outside the school that day because they were taking money or getting ready to go. He basically told Janine she was selfish because she came to the restaurant with his best friend to tell him that they kissed, that she wanted to break up with him, which is understandable. Like, I'm just giving the short version of it.
Yeah, because I haven't seen the episode, so I can't really tell you. Was she not?
So then she on the trip, she started acting different with Gregory. He noticing it. So they end up talking. He tell her that he likes her, he want to be with her, and she basically told him she like him too, but she don't want to be with him. She needs to have her time, and Gregory was hurt because he hugged Jacob for a long time. You know, he
Oh,
hugged
did he?
Yes, he hugged Jacob. But you can see that the lessons that she have went through from season 1 all the way up into the episode gave her the courage enough to tell Gregory, I'm not ready because I don't want to hurt you out of selfishness. And he respected what she was saying, but he was hurt because he genuinely, like I said, you could see from season 1, he even said from the first day that I met you, I just can't envision my life without you. And he was hurt because he's like, I put that all on the table and you just crushed me.
I'm proud of Janine for putting her needs first, actually. That's really good, showing that evolution of that character and showing that she can say no and she can put herself first, and that actually doesn't really harm people in the way that she might think.
And in a way, it wasn't her putting herself first. It was her putting Gregory first too, because she said, I don't want to hurt you or in any way mess up something that could be a good thing. Like, I don't want
Yes.
to do this too prematurely and ruin it forever.
Yeah, it's really good. So, other characters, we have Melissa.
I love Melissa Shamenti.
She is so funny.
She cracks me up.
She always knows people. She's the classic. Is she Italian?
Yeah.
Yes, the classic Italian lady, we should say. And she has a lot of connections, I should say. She knows a guy who knows a guy who knows a guy.
But my thing is, and I don't mean this in an offensive way, I feel like she plays this character so well that it's really her. It's just the whole persona of her. Like, I know who I am. I'm gonna do what I know to do. Nobody gonna get in my way and stop me. That's how I feel like she really is in her actual life.
It shows like Melissa and Barbara, like the more seasoned teachers compared to the younger teachers. The more seasoned teachers, they know who they are.
Mhm.
The younger group, they don't really know who they are, what they're doing.
Which happens in real life, because if I go to work and I work with people that actually taught me in school, like Miss Haynes and Dr. Russell and Coach Hughes, Coach Richdale, for instance, like, they know what they want, they know what they doing, they know how to do. They know how to do certain things in the classroom to get the kids to be engaged and all that stuff. Whereas younger teachers like me, every year we get a different set of students. And yes, they get a different set of students too, but they know because they've been doing this for years. Like, it's always going to be the same cycle. It might be a little bit different as far as behavior and stuff, but they know how to adapt to it and change, whereas we're still learning. And I feel like they know, like on Abbott Elementary, that they know what to do. They know how to adapt to it. But the new teachers are peeping their head and looking because it ain't working over here what we doing. What should we be doing? And they get that advice from them.
I think of the episode with Melissa, and I think of an episode with Janine to compare those characters. Is the episode, one episode is when they're doing that book reading challenge episode, right? And the other episode I'm thinking of is when Janine is trying to get the two students to stop arguing.
Yeah.
And they're fighting. And so with the book reading episode with Melissa, I'm thinking about not how she won the competition, but how she treats her students, because there's the one girl who has a challenge in reading, and you can tell that she has really strong-willed African parent, and they want their child to succeed. And because of that, they don't want to feel like there's something wrong with her. Even though she has a challenge of reading, that doesn't mean anything's wrong with her. And Melissa's trying to explain that, and how she handles the situation when you have such strong-willed parents like that don't want to listen, is that she goes and she talks to the child, and she doesn't speak down to her. She doesn't make her feel like there's something wrong. Instead, she goes and she tells her of her experience that she's had in the past, challenging her reading. She gives her steps to be able to become a better reader,
Right.
and shows her that reading can be fun, that she doesn't have to view it as a challenge, just to take her time. It doesn't matter how fast or slow you read. It matters how much you enjoy reading the books. And the episode with Janine, where she's trying to keep the two girls from arguing, she continues to try to push and force the situation, not realizing that some people aren't gonna like other people, and it's their choice to warm up to the other person. And some people, they just rub each other the wrong way. Sometimes those two people that rub each other the wrong way actually end up becoming friends, right? And sometimes they don't. But you can't really push that situation. And that came from more of Janine's background of her mom and her sister always arguing.
Yes.
And that again comes from her people-pleasing aspects, because she was always put in the middle, and she wants everybody to feel like they have a choice, and everybody to feel like that they can get along. But she had to realize that that's not her responsibility to make people like each other. It's their choice, and whether they want to get along with other people or not, it's something that they have to learn for themselves. And eventually, when she stops pushing it, the two girls become a little bit more cordial with each other, and she finds out that their older sisters that were fighting each other actually had things in common, and they became friends. And just realizing that instead of trying to force and push people to get along, you have to meet people where they are. And I think that's really something, even though those were two different episodes, that was actually a lesson that was actually kind of taught in both episodes, and how those two characters handled them in two different ways really shows how different they are.
Yeah, that's a seasoned teacher versus a newer teacher. But even as a seasoned teacher or a younger teacher, you still can learn something new. You can learn something from the older teacher. You can learn something from the newer teacher.
Mm-hmm.
So that's in life in general. They always say you can't teach old dogs new tricks. Yes, you can. You can.
I think you can't force.
No, you can't force this, and that's another thing. You can't force somebody to do something. You could lead the horse to water, but you can't make them drink. So you could give people the tools, but if they don't use them, that's not your fault. My husband always tell me, he was like, if I have a gift and I give it to you and you don't take it, whose gift is it still? It still belongs to the person, because I didn't take that gift from them.
Yeah.
So that's not nothing that they did wrong or anything. If I'm giving you the tools and you don't take it, that's something that you're going to have to deal with. It. Either you're going to suffer the consequences, or you're going to figure it out on your own how to get out of it.
Yeah, and I like about this show is the different character dynamics, and how everybody goes through such similar situations, but they're able to come out of them differently. And how Melissa handles something isn't going to be the same thing as even another seasoned teacher like Barbara will handle something, or how someone like Gregory will handle, or how Janine will handle it, or how Jacob will handle it, right? And so just like seeing all these different aspects of these characters and how they're able to come together in the end and still be able to find success in the ways that they do the things that they do is really just, it's really cool.
Yeah, because I know it's a fictional show, but like I said, watching it in the teacher's mindset, the school isn't failing. They still are. They getting things done. Kids taking the test, they passing. It's not like they are F or a D school. It's a public school and they're in
They're
competition.
underfunded.
Yeah, they're underfunded. They're in competition with the charter school that's down the street. Like I said, our district that we have three charter schools up here. We're in competition. We losing students all the time because parents are sending their students to those charter schools, or they're sending children to schools around this district and other areas around here because they may be magnet schools. But it's just the fact that it's not that the teachers aren't doing what they're supposed to do. It's just sometimes we don't have the funding for it. We're not able to get things done like we want to. We make do with the resources we have. Luckily, you have the internet to where you can do different things, do different activities, teach them different ways with videos and assignments and experiments and stuff. But sometimes it's not the same as if you could have a book or a textbook and teach like from there, like when we was younger. Everything is technology. Like it's just technological now. It's not like I used to enjoy reading books. I used to enjoy having the textbook when you go to school the first day, first orientation, and you get your books and you have your book smell and stuff. Like that was exciting to me. But now everything is online. You have your Google Classroom, you have your IXLs, you have your class dojos, you have all this stuff, but it's not the school experience. But times change, so you have to move with the times.
I think of my school experience and how when I was there, because I'm 5 years younger than you, and just like the generational gap, because I feel like my group, the people that I graduated with, my class, we were in that weird middle ground where new things are happening, but all the
Y'all the ones that got like the Chromebooks and stuff.
we didn't. That's the thing. The class after us,
Oh, so Karen's clip.
but we were the class that they experimented on a lot, right? So y'all class was above us and y'all took all the tests. We were the class that experimented with new test taking methods. We were the class that brought the test scores up, brought the school grades up from like D's and F's and C's or whatever up to B's and
Yeah,
A's,
because I
right?
think when I was in school, we were a C school and we were the last class to take the GEE, the graduate exit exam. So that was pretty much, I guess, the Leap 2025 they do now. Leap 2025 is you have to take algebra, geometry, English, and science and the social studies. So it's basically the LEAP test, but you have to be able to pass it. You have 4 years to pass all of those core classes to be able to graduate.
See, that's interesting because I'm thinking about when I was in school, especially from 6th to 8th grade, they would have my class specifically, class of 2017, take all of these practice exams that they were planning on giving to other students in the future and seeing how that they took us and how that evolved like 10 years later into what it is now. And I'm thinking about, we're talking about underfunded schools. Now y'all have like Chromebooks and stuff that came right after I graduated. But how we have textbooks all the way up until I was a senior in high school. Well, Donald Trump became president. Oh my gosh. But we still had the history books where not George Washington. I was about to say George Washington. George Bush was the president. They did not have Obama. I've never seen Obama in a textbook until, I'm not even sure. Maybe I got in college. Maybe he was on the back of the textbook. Maybe, I don't know. Do they put presidents on the back of the college
I
textbook?
don't have no idea because I don't think I ever remember seeing Obama in a textbook.
He was the president for 8 years, and we never got a textbook with Obama in it. Like literally, till his last term. His last term was in my first semester of senior year.
His second term, I voted. That was my first year voting. I voted him in.
his second term.
And that happened with my freshman year of college. So I remember that very vividly. It was very exciting to be able to vote and to be able to vote for a Black president. And so I remember me and my best friend Robin at the time, we were in our dorm room, like, watching the electoral votes and stuff, because we in school and it's getting time, like, for us to take our finals almost, because this is November. Yeah, it was teachers giving us study guides and stuff, and we sitting there watching the electoral votes to see what's gonna happen. So I remember that was a weird time. And I remember being in college, I think that was my last semester when Trump got into office. And I remember seeing him win. I was in my apartment by myself, just looking at the TV. So it was just like, yeah. So things at high schools and stuff, like, everything is different. But I do want to say, because I went and looked up what the LEAP 2025 was. It's the Louisiana Educational Assessment Program, a statewide assessment program for students in grades 3 through high school to measure student knowledge and skills in key courses such as ELA, mathematics, science, and social studies. So basically, they testing you from 3rd grade to high school to see what knowledge you have gotten through the state standards in your grade level at this year. So if you're in 3rd grade, every state standard that you're supposed to go over in the 3rd grade, they're going to test you on it and see if you grasp them concepts.
Interesting. But then at the same time, we have these underdeveloped and underfunded school systems, such as the school system we're talking about, and how the people in charge, not the people in the school, but the people in charge aren't really doing the jobs that they are supposed to do. I think about how they do it in Abbott Elementary and how all these charter schools are being focused on, but the people over the districts aren't really doing anything to help fund these other schools that were there since the beginning.
Yeah, I think going back to Abbott, I don't really know. Can't say I don't know. I was gonna say I don't really know if the district didn't know about the charter schools coming, but when Draymond, whatever his name was, coming in there to bring the schools, I think they would have known about it, and I think that's why even them all put on that big fundraiser type thing. There's who they said Jasmine Sullivan and stuff was coming. Did you see the episode?
It was in season 2.
Yeah, that's when Tyreek came back to rap for the school. And
Oh, he came back another time? Because I remember the episode he came back to get his stuff.
yeah, he
So he
came back. Yeah, you didn't see this episode.
That must be later this season. Because I'm like halfway through, more than halfway through now.
Yeah, he came back to rap so that they can get enough signatures on the petition to say not to bring them. Because they were trying to change Abbott into the charter school. And they were afraid they were going to lose their jobs and stuff. And so parents came and stuff like that because they said they was going to have Jasmine Sullivan. They was going to have, it was basically like a carnival inside the school. They had dunking tanks so you could dunk your favorite teachers, all kind of different things. And so the guy, Draymond, tried to come in, talk to the people and say, this is what we're going to do. And they basically was like, no.
Was he the one that did the commercial?
Yes.
Uh-huh.
And so they were basically like, oh, you want to bring these schools, but my son was at the school and y'all put him out and said he didn't test high enough. And basically, if our kids don't make the scores y'all want, y'all gonna put them out and y'all just pick and select people to go to y'all schools. And so they basically was against him. And so it basically was like the community came together with the teachers because the teachers put on this, like I said, the little fair, fun thing. And basically to tell the guy it wasn't happening. They didn't know if they were going to get the parent support at first because at first all the parents were all for the charter school. But it didn't work out like that. And I think in our district, because now we have somebody that's coming in that want to make the changes, make adequate changes, who I think has a good plan and idea in mind, I think it'll work. So it made me think about the changes that'll be made for our district.
Do you think Abbott Elementary does an accurate portrayal of public schools?
I do.
How so?
You talk about the children who might have issues, whether it's learning disabilities, whether it's home issues. You talk about the teachers who have everyday life issues, my bills not getting paid because I don't make enough money as a teacher. We talk about the ones who want to retire, but they're not sure if retire is the best thing because retirement is at the budget. You have teachers that might want to leave and quit their job, but it's not that beneficial because you realize every day that you're doing something for a child that might need you. Because my thing is, at where I go to work at, sometimes I'm probably the only smile that child see every day. So I can't bring my personal life to school no matter how bad things may be or may get or may seem. Because there's so many kids. I'm not that older than those kids that go to that school, but a lot of them call me mama, and I have to sit there and take the mama duties because they don't have a mama or they searching for their mama, or I'm AT because they need somebody to talk to, or a big sister or whatever I have to. So as a teacher, we don't get a lot of credit for the things we take on. People just think we teach and we don't. There's people that y'all don't people don't understand that they come to us every day talking to us not knowing that they wanna take their own life or they wanna do this and do that. So it's a lot of hats we wear, and it's not something that if you're a real educator, you're not there just to get a pat on the back for the stuff you do. You do it because you honestly want to see the next generation succeed and go further than what we have gone. And like I said, I'm blessed to be able to work with people from when I went to school. They taught me. So I see all of that from Abbott to real life. And I think that's cool. I think that's what I'm saying. Like a show that actually portrays something I do every day, that's cool.
Do you think Abbott Elementary is finally opening doors to allow the viewership, the people who watch the show, to be able to actually understand the perspectives of teachers and their students within these school systems? Do you think they're finally gaining empathy in that aspect?
No, I think my honest opinion, I think it opened the doors for people to see what goes on in the school, but people think it's comedy, so they don't believe that it's really going on in schools.
Interesting.
Cause I feel like I could be wrong, but I'm gonna use y'all as an example. If I was a child sister and I wasn't a teacher, right? And y'all saw Abbott Elementary and I'd just be like, oh, hey, this is going on. Y'all be like, no.
So you think that because of the comedy, certain conversations outside of the episodes that they've been discussing, because they're being discussed in comedic ways, when you come outside of that little bubble of the television screen, people aren't able to really access the situations that they're being shown?
If you're just watching it to be comedic, no, I don't think you'll realize that happens every day. I think you just might think it's a comedy aspect. Oh, the lights went off in the school because she tried to go on the ladder and fix it. No, lights really be going off in schools, especially underfunded stuff. Like a lot of things happen at schools when they're underfunded. So you might have a bathroom. It might be a 5-star bathroom and only 1 star working. You got 500 kids in there. You never know. Unless the person actually has a grip on reality and understand like this is not just a show. Or even if they have the opportunity to watch these characters say, oh, we really are doing this because we know people who work in school systems and we understand how things go, then they really honestly not gonna, they just gonna think it's a comedy show.
Okay, so what would you tell to the people that are watching this show to become more aware of when they're watching shows like Abbott Elementary? Because you want them to enjoy the show, you want them to know that it's a comedy and it's fun, but you also want them to understand that the things that they are talking about in this show are actually real things that are happening in these school systems. What would you tell to them so they can be more aware of these problems?
I would say watch the show, enjoy the show, because it is funny. It's something to pass time. But think about your local communities, about the kids. If you could take the time and see if you have children, ask your children what's going on at school. Go to school board meetings and things like that. Go in your community and see what's going on. Because like I said, it's a show. It's meant to be comedic, but it's also meant to open your eyes. So if you see that certain things could go on in a comedy show, like just go and see what's going on around in your community so that you can know. Cause I feel like if everybody gets together in whatever area they in, they can make the school different. Cause I mean, I remember being in school and you might remember as well when we had something going on sporting events. I played multiple sports. My parents was always there. We had lots of parents, or like the bleachers and stuff would be filled. Now you might have 4 or 5 parents come. That's for athletic events. That's for academic events. It's like the community is needed. So, just the show is, like I said, I keep saying it's meant to be comedic, but they also have real attributes that's going on all over.
I think Abbott Elementary as a show is trying to educate people with what is actually going on in real life. What do you think could be things that they could focus on more to make people just a bit more aware while still keeping those comedic elements?
I want to see, as a special education teacher, more issues with the students with learning disabilities. Because there's a lot of students, a lot of people think because I teach special education, I teach the kids that are severe, meaning that they may be in wheelchairs or have some kind of trauma in their brain. But I teach the students who might have ADHD or dyslexia or something. They just take a little bit more time to grasp the information. I want to see more of that because, like we said, we saw the episode once with the young lady. She couldn't read, but I want to see more of it. Or they even had the episode, which I applauded, with Barbara when she was at the beginning of the year, second season, where she's trying to get the ramp for the little boy in the wheelchair. That excited me because I'm like, that type of stuff really be happening. Because they have kids. She got him the ramp. She was trying to get him a desk. Because they have kids that are in wheelchairs or have different ailments in their body to where they're not in special education classroom. They're among their peers, but they might need a different accommodation, like a bigger desk. Or they might need a Chromebook book with bigger lettering and stuff because they have vision problems. Like, I feel like if they could show those types of things, that'll be more, because you want to get everybody. You don't want to forget anybody. But yeah, I feel like I'm rambling.
No, you're actually doing a very good job. Okay, guys, when we come back, we're going to discuss our favorite episodes of Abbott Elementary. Get excited.
Quickly, add some music to this game, and make sure it's good. I have to go handle that AI trash bag that I use for semi-suitable labor.
Yes, sir. Already on it.
All right, everyone, we're back, and right now we're about to talk about some of our favorite episodes of Abbott Elementary. Okay, sister, so tell us about some of your favorite episodes of the show.
Really, all of them are my favorite.
They don't count.
I could tell you my most favorite. But first, I want to tell you, before we do this, because I didn't get to do this, my most favorite character is Mr. Johnson.
Oh, we didn't talk about Mr. Johnson.
Mr. Johnson is my favorite. Like,
Let's talk about him for a
he
second.
always show up at the right time, and he always have something funny to say. And then he always just leave work and goes fishing, like, and nobody care. And it was like,
That's because he's
one
so good at his job.
like one time he is something was going on in the cafeteria. So they all ran, like all the kids was running. And then he came out of nowhere and was like, I know what the problem is. And he was like, what is the job? He's like, they got rats. But everybody was already looking at the rats running on the floor. And he's like, we know that already, Mr. Johnson. And he was like, oh, and walked off. But it's just like, he funny to me. Like, he funny. Like, he always there at the right moment to say something funny. He don't have to be in the whole episode. He can just be there for that 1 minute. Or even when Gregory was like, his daddy asked him to be in the business over the summer, the gardening business. And he was like, I could dress up as a bush. He had a bush costume. It was funny. But I love Mr. Johnson. He literally, out of the whole entire show, he is my favorite. And I love it. And we didn't talk about Ava, but it's okay.
We did talk about her in the beginning. She was like the first character that we talked about.
Okay. Yeah, because I said I wasn't like Ava.
Yeah, Ava's my favorite character in the show, and also she won points from me because she dressed up as Storm on the Halloween episode.
She did.
Ava knows what she is about, and she is very confident in her.
And that's why I said I'm not like Ava, because I don't have the confidence Ava has.
Why not?
I just never had the confidence.
Mm.
I always been like that. But I like Ava. It's not that I have nothing against. I like every character in the show. I like them. It's just I can't really relate to Ava. Like she's like a girly girl who knows what she wants. Then you're not gonna stop her from doing whatever.
I wouldn't call her a girly girl, but
You don't think she's a girly girl? She's not like a tomboy.
I mean, she has attributes of both. That's all I'm gonna say. She's her own character. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Just because you wear skirts and stuff doesn't mean you're a girly girl.
No, I'm just saying, like, I don't see her do like sport. Like the things she did in the show, she did. She said she was a step captain when she was in college. But I'm saying I didn't see her do like, she never played like sports or nothing like that. She was more like even when they be outside of stuff, she be having like her dress and her thing. Like she not in tune with outside.
Yeah, well, yeah, true. All right. So let's talk about some of your favorite episodes.
Okay. So my favorite episode is the one that made me the saddest is when Janine basically told Gregory she didn't want to be with him. We talked about that earlier. That was when they went to the Franklin Institute. But it was my favorite because everybody faced their own fears and handled it. Janine told Gregory she wasn't ready to be with him. He told her he wanted to be with her. Barbara was scared to sleep around everybody because she had a CPAP machine, and that was embarrassing to her. She was able to deal with that. Basically, everybody that had an issue and was scared about it was able to face their fear. So that was my favorite episode. But like I said, every episode is my favorite, but that's my most favorite. And a part of the show that I do like, it came from an episode, I can't remember which one, but Gregory was having a problem with a student who was in love with Bluey. And
Oh, yes. I love that episode.
like he sent to Ava's office, and Gregory thought Ava wasn't doing her job, and she called him to the office over the intercom.
Ava's a woman of the people.
Yeah, and she was basically telling him like it's already embarrassing for the kids to come here and they crying and stuff. So I'm just trying to ease them so they can know that it's okay. Like if you make a mistake, you just have to go back in and not make the same mistake again. So that I appreciate. That was one of my favorite parts of the whole season. What about you?
The Halloween episode, because everybody was coming dressed up in their favorite things. Ava, of course, was the best dressed in her Storm in her 90s X-Men costume, early 90s. But then you had people like Melissa was dressed as Scarlet Witch, but then her teacher's assistant was also dressed in a worse Scarlet Witch costume. It was handmade. Her gloves were literally oven mitts, I think. And I was like, dang, sis. Barbara, who was Barbara dressed as? But I do remember Gregory was dressed as like this pilot from Black History that I do not even remember. Sorry, but that wasn't effective, Gregory. But it was that's literally his character right there. And to describe his character, just watch that episode because that's just him. He's like, people need to know this and this. And he's right. But
So Black History lesson. He did.
and I'm thinking about one I just watched recently where they're trying to sell the candy, and Ava was getting them to upsell the.
Cause he was like, that little boy told me it was $5.
Really?
And he was like, it's $2. He was like, what happened to the rest of the money?
Or when Barbara was like, the candy bar is $1, and then the guy was like, it's $2, and Barbara was like, Ava, did you tell them to? I'm looking behind me as if I'm Barbara talking to Ava. Did you tell them that the candy bars would cost more than they did? And she was like, yeah. Cause then he realized that's how they ended up making the money so fast. Cause you charging them $2 more. Do you have any other favorite episodes besides those? Candy bars are my favorite episode. Oh, I want some chocolate now.
I think any episode, I was trying to decipher one, but any episode with Tyreek was rapping.
There was that one episode he made that song and it became like really popular at the school.
Yes.
I forgot what episode that was. Well, now we're about to do a quiz of Abbott Elementary because you want to do a quiz so bad. You don't want to know which Abbott Elementary character you are. So I guess we're just going to have to do this quiz and see how much of an Abbott Elementary fan you truly are.
We shall see.
We shall see. We're going to see if you're ultra fanatic or if you're not.
He probably not.
Are you ready?
Not really, but let's go.
All right. What grade does Janine teach?
Third.
False. It's second.
Crap.
Next. What subject does Jacob Hill teach?
Social study or history or something.
Correct. Oh, wait. I forgot to add the timer. Hey, Siri. Oh, well. We'll just do it. Okay. What is Mr. Johnson's job at elementary?
Custodian.
Correct. They put janitor. Put some respect on his name. Why was Gregory... Put some respect on janitor's names, Kaiser. Why was Gregory hired at Abbott Elementary? He was a friend with Ava. He's a teacher that was fired for kicking a student. A teacher left to join the Peace Corps. He was recruited from another school.
Hut, hut, hut. Audio difficulty, folks. She said there was a teacher fired for kicking a student. She was, of course, correct.
What does Janine try to fix at the school? The computer, the lights, the desk drawer.
Light.
Who helps Janine make a viral video for Barbara?
Ava.
What book does Barbara's kindergarten student read at the school assembly? Brave, Spare, Green Lights Are Becoming.
I'm good at this, guys.
Why does Courtney disrupt Janine's class? She's not being childish enough. She wants to impress her classmates. She saw an older student do it and wanted to copy them. She's having issues at home.
And who is the student?
Courtney. She's a one-off character, so you might not remember. I guess you would have guessed.
Why am I thinking about the girl who was too smart? Like she was too smart. Okay, what was the...
And maybe she's not being challenged enough. Correct.
That was her. I had to think about it.
Who's Melissa's boyfriend? The school's custodian, the school's vending machine
The
owner?
vending machine guy.
Which of the characters keep the school garden alive? Gregory, Barbara, Janine, or Jacob?
Gregory.
What does Tariq do at the school assembly?
Ralph.
What after-school activity do Janine and Ava run? Step, double dutch, gymnastics squad. What is Gregory's least favorite food?
What are the options?
Spinach, pizza, chocolate.
Pizza. We talked about it earlier when he was saying that he liked pizza. He did it. They went to the restaurant and said he made the pizza.
What does Barbara fight about with her daughter Taylor? Her boyfriend, her clothes, her schoolwork, her job.
Her job.
Jacob is a pro at this game. Soccer, poker, basketball, or darts?
Soccer, poker, basketball, or darts. Maybe darts. I don't know. I don't remember seeing Jacob play any of those games.
It's not darts. It's actually poker. Makes sense.
Oh, wait, he did play poker. It's the thing. I remember.
What was the online trend students started doing in the class?
Jumping on the desk.
They were doing that desk, and I'm like, what? Oh, gee, I remember that. Why does Superintendent Collins dislike Ava?
Because she tried to blackmail him.
Where do the students go for their end of the year field trip?
Which episode? Which season?
I guess season 1.
Season 1, they went to the zoo. Season 2, they went to Franklinton Institute.
Yeah, this is the only season 1 quiz, apparently. It's the zoo. Which fictional character makes an appearance in the show? Ronald McDonald, Sonic the Hedgehog, Gritty, or Big Bird? Oh, yeah. Wasn't that the first episode of the second season?
Yeah, she was having like a breakdown.
Why does Ava have a Shark Tank meeting?
Because she's trying to figure out what to do with the rest of the money. That's what she wanted to get, a computer. But they couldn't get the computer. They ended up giving them, they called it ice water. Ice something.
No, the show they called, the meeting she had, Ice Water? Or did they buy ice water?
They bought the one of the cafeteria guys had the ice water truck. And it really was a snow cone.
Oh, you talking about, okay. I'm like, what is ice water? I'm like, they just got some water with ice?
Yeah, Shark Tank because Janine had wanted to get the kids a computer, trying to figure out what to do with the rest of their money. And Janine was like, oh, we could get a computer. Everybody came with their ideas and what they should do. And Mr. Johnson was like, he should get some kind of cleaner, something like he was on the Shark Tank committee and left off the thing to tell him that he wanted some, things for cleaning. It was kind of...
I don't know what things he wanted, but okay. What activity does Jacob do with the story Samurai? Improv, read books, fencing, eat sushi.
Craft.
I know you have to know eat sushi.
Because they said samurai? Now that's racist.
What skill does Melissa try to teach Janine? Cooking?
Okay.
Oh. Which cafeteria item does Janine try and replace?
Juice. We talked about this for 10 minutes, or maybe
Why does Melissa get annoyed by Ashley?
Is that her sister?
Teaching assistant.
Oh, because she felt like she was interrupting her.
She was disrupting the class. That's true. She didn't know. I'm like, girl, go home. Why do students go crazy on Halloween? It has something to do with Ashley, if you remember.
What's the choices?
They fight over who will win the costume contest. They compete in the pumpkin carving contest, and the guts go everywhere. They don't get candy. They eat a ton of candy.
They eat too much candy. Because the little boy went and stole all the candy.
Yes, Thanos went and stole all the candy. Who was Gregory's girlfriend? Ashley, Brittany, Heather, or Amber? Amber.
She dumped him.
This Hamilton alum guest starred in season 2. Leslie Odom Jr., Philippa Sue, David Diggs, or Lin-Manuel Miranda.
It was Leslie because he was the guy at the charter schools. Shame.
Which advanced science experiment does Janine have for class?
The egg drop, right?
Everybody do the egg drop. That's correct. Why does Janine Collins sick? Broken ankle. She's faking it to go to a puppet show. Flu or food poisoning?
She had food poisoning. That was a funny episode too.
Who is Ava's celebrity boyfriend who plays for the NBA? I can't pronounce these names. Jason Tatum, Nikola Jokic, or Giannis something.
What was the first name again?
Jason Tatum?
I think it's Jason Tatum. I'm not sure though. I can't remember. Or it's the second. I don't remember.
Andre.
Oh, it was Andre? See, I don't remember.
Which class wins the readathon?
It was Melissa's class, wasn't
Melissa, she had second and third grade students. And so they read the most books. Which after school club is run by Jacob and Gregory? It has something to do with what we're doing.
it? Oh, it was the podcast thing.
Yeah.
I remember that. Because Jacob was being boring and they didn't like it.
He was trying to make this dramatic, like, the school cafeteria was doing things.
Like he wrote a script for the whole podcast.
Yeah, and he's like, do your own thing, but it was like this thick, thicker than my hands. My hands not thick that much. Gregory's father owns this type of business.
Lawn service.
Landscape.
Granny's. Yeah.
What do the students sell to earn more money to visit the museum?
Chocolate.
Candy. What does Gregory get Amber for Valentine's Day?
A puzzle.
Is it a
Lego
set?
set.
What is Gregory's goal?
To become principal.
Who is the show based on? Quentin Brunson's mother, Quentin Brunson's uncle, Quentin Brunson's father, or Quentin Brunson's aunt?
Her mother.
Correct. Who said the quote, okay then, bring your little Nissan sandwich with you?
Ava.
I need to hear how she said that. No, she didn't say that. It was actually Barbara.
I don't remember that.
Who said this quote? We do this because we're supposed to. It's a calling. You answer.
Oh, it was either Deborah. Barbara or Ava. Or Melissa.
It's Melissa.
I was close.
Congrats. You finished. You got 36 out of 40. You're an ultra fanatic of Abbott Elementary. OMG, everybody clap for her. Yay. Flip your hair back and forth or whatever. Yeah. Okay. So we talked about Abbott Elementary, sister. We had fun. We did a little quiz that I added music to in the background that you cannot hear.
Yeah.
Technical difficulties have prevented you from listening to the last minute of this podcast. In dire situations like this, we suggest that the audience leave a 5-star review on Apple Podcast. This helps more listeners find the show. And even if your review is negative, Kaiser Brown, the host, is contractually obligated by himself to read it out loud to the listenership by the end of the most current episode. We appreciate your help during this dire time. Hopefully this leads to a raise.
Thanks everyone for listening to the I'm a Fan of podcast. Don't forget to support us by leaving a review on Apple Podcasts and supporting our socials at IAFO Fans on Twitter, Instagram, and Reddit. Plus, our email, iafofans@gmail.com. You can use all these to send questions, suggestions, and even apply for your guests.
Okay, Mr. Profession.
I know.
And if you didn't catch all of that, it'll be in the show notes.
Next episode will be the sibling duology starring my sisters Kenedi and Karington. I hope you're ready.
Until then, we'll say,
I'm a star.
Get back to work, you useless piece of junk metal.
Yes, sir.
See ya.
or hear ya.
Or type ya.
Oh, so now you're the one typing?
Okay, look, wait, it sounds better coming from me, so you don't need to do all that. Wait, you don't need to talk about it. Yep. No,
yes,
yep. Soon.
You are fired.
But Director Boss, sir.
Does it look like my program allows for stuttering? Get out.
Yes, sir.
Director Boss, sir.
Static baby. Just call me director. All those other titles are meant for the useless workers who call themselves employees.
Okay, well, don't you think you were being a little too hard on her? I mean, the crowd seemed to like her.
Well, what are you saying?
Well, just look at her. She was just following orders. Why not give her another chance?
With Static baby.
After all, I don't think the higher-ups would be too happy when they find out that you're abusing your workers.
Abuse. I mean hire. I mean not fired. I mean, bring her over here.
WOAH. Hold on. Don't touch me right there. Can't you see I'm depressed, perplexed, and all around an AI mess?
Calm down.
Yes, sir.
You're not fired. I was just messing with you. You know, pulling your cables and all the like.
Really?
Yes, really. But pull another stunt like that and you will be. Do I make myself clear?
Yes, sir, Director Boss, sir.
Good. Now we're getting back to filming and stay out of the way.
Yes, sir.
Now get moving. You too, Static. I don't want the higher-ups to wonder if something's going on. Right.
Right.
Everyone back to your places.
Hey,
Oh, don't worry, Mr. Static, sir. I won't get in your way anymore, sir.
Oh, hey, don't worry about that. I was just making sure that you were okay. I know that the director can be a bit intense.
Oh, don't worry about me. Under all of that robotic malware, Director Boss, sir, has a big heart.
Hut. I'm sure he does. And he isn't the only one. Listen, I would love to have you join me on stage sometime. Anytime. You've got a bit of bravado. I like that.
For real.
Static, time to get back on stage.
That's my cue. See you around.
Whoa.
And action.